What's going on, guys? Adam here from TexasGarage, and last year I drove the 2018 Challenger Hellcat with 707 horsepower. That car was just insane. This year, for 2019, I have the Challenger Hellcat Redeye, and this thing has 797 horsepower. Let's just jump into it. All right, well, let's check out the exterior real quick, see what's different with this one versus the regular Hellcat, and then we'll jump inside and get to what everybody came to see. Right up front, you get this functional dual snorkel hood. And I say functional, yes, because this does take air into the engine. Next, just like the Demon, you get the driver's side headlight turned into an air intake as well. The passenger side also looks functional, but it's just the driver's side that actually feeds air into the intake. Just chalk that up as a symmetry win. Now, as you can see, this Redeye does have the wide body kit on it. On the front fender, you get the Hellcat badge with a little Redeye in it, which is the Redeye badge, and you'll definitely notice these things sprinkled throughout this car. We also get these 20-inch by 11-inch Devil's Wheel forged aluminum wheels. And these are running the 305/35 ZR20 Pirelli P0 tires on them. And you get these 6-piston Brembo brakes with slotted rotors. And we get the special matte black SRT spoiler. Alright, so under the hood is a supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi V8 engine. And this is delivered from the Demon himself. You get 797 horsepower. You get 707 foot-pounds of torque. You can do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. A quarter-mile run will be 10.8 seconds. Top speed is 203 miles per hour. And they achieve all of that over the supercharged Hellcat engine with a larger supercharger. This is a 2.7 liter supercharger versus a 2.4 on the Hellcat. You get increased boost. This has 14.5 PSI versus 11.6 on the Hellcat. You get a higher RPM range, 6,500 in this, 6,200 in the base Hellcat. You also get strengthened connecting rods and pistons, high-speed valve train, a new fuel injection system, an improved lubrication system, and you get a large induction system with those 3 air forces. The new dual snorkel hood, the driver's side air catcher headlight, and an inlet near the wheel liner. All feed this engine air. All of this is matched up to a Torque Flight 8-speed automatic transmission. You can't get the Hellcat Redeye in a manual. You also get the Redeye badging up here on the supercharger housing. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the interior before we start it up and you can't hear anything. In here we get the 220 mile an hour red speedometer and the Redeye logo splash screen. Going quickly over the basics, we have these really nice looking and comfortable Laguna leather seats with the Hellcat logo stitched into them. These are heated and cooled seats, which is a big thumbs up from me. You get an 8.4-inch touchscreen display with Uconnect 4C and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration. You get a 7-inch driver's information display. You get dual zone climate control. We have a Harman Kardon audio system with 18 speakers and a sub. You get a blind spot monitoring system with cross path detection and a lot more, but I'm sure that's not what you came here for. The interior is great, but let's start it up and get going. So let's talk about something you don't normally talk about in a car review, and that's the keys. And yes, I said keys because you get multiple keys with this, not one for you and one for your wife. These are both for you. One is a black key, which Dodge dubs the everyday key. This limits your horsepower to 500 horsepower in the car and is made to make it a little bit easier for day-to-day driving, or is like a valet key, or the key if your kid's gonna steal your key, this is the key you want them to steal. The red key, on the other hand, this is the key that unleashes that full 797 horsepower, and this is the key that you want to use most of the time driving this car. Not because it's efficient or makes it easier, but because it makes it hilarious. So there's not many places you can get out and use all of this power. We're just cruising down a normal road here. We're in the standard drive mode, which basically deadens the power and the exhaust, even though it's still pretty loud and still pretty powerful. You have an SRT button down here. You can see we're in auto mode, which gives us our power on eco, our transmission on eco, paddle shifters off, street traction, street suspension, and street steering. We can go to a sport mode. Sport mode puts the power at 797. You've got a sport transmission setting. Paddle shifters are now on. Traction is set to sport, suspension is set to sport, and steering is set to sport. You also have a track mode that gives you the full power, obviously. Transmission set to track, paddle shifters on, traction, suspension, and steering all set to track. We're gonna leave it in sport mode. The supercharger whine is just glorious. It really overpowers even the exhaust noise on this thing, which is also glorious. You really have to watch out hitting that accelerator hard, because this thing, the back end will slip out on you easy, and it really doesn't matter what speed you're going. Again, it doesn't matter what speed you're going. When you really lay into it, it just pushes you back, and you just gotta hold on. The best thing about this being a family car is that if the kids are getting too loud, or if they've got music on that you don't like, you can easily just drown that out with exhaust and supercharger whine. And luckily those brakes work well too. I don't know, it just puts a smile on my face every single time. And isn't that the point? Having this thing in track mode is great, and having that engine cooler is great, but when you have it in track mode for a long time, it gets hot in this sucker. So for launch control, you hit the launch button. You can see it says to launch, put it in drive, move it to drive, have your foot on the brake, push the gas. Dump the brake and just go. right, guys, before we wrap this up, let's really quickly talk about the price. So the base SXT Challenger starts at $28,095. The RT is $34,000 and the RT Scat Pack is $40,000. A base Hellcat starts at $60,000 and a Redeye Widebody has a base price of $77,945. The one we're sitting in, the one we're reviewing, has a few extra options and has an MSRP of $88,900. So as far as muscle cars are concerned, obviously the Mustang, obviously the Camaro, and this vehicle. Now, I recently went and drove the Shelby Super Snake, which had an 800 horsepower supercharged V8 engine. Unfortunately, the roads we were driving it on and the conditions we were driving it in really didn't let me get a good feel for the vehicle. But I can tell you this thing is super comfortable and super fast. The Camaro, well, if you haven't noticed, I haven't reviewed a Camaro since 2013. I didn't have a lot of nice things to say about it in 2013, and GM has neglected to give me one since. Outside of muscle cars, I've also driven some other really high performance vehicles like the Mercedes E63, I've driven a couple of different versions of the McLaren, Ferrari, and many more, and I would say that this power-wise definitely stacks up to a supercar feel. But again, that's just my opinion, and if I had the money to spend on a car like this, and I wanted reliability, a tested and true engine and platform, I wanted comfort, this thing is a great GT car. It can just eat up the miles. You want power and fun, this thing delivers a ton of it. It would be hard to pass up this for something much more expensive and probably underpowered. So at the end of the day, if you're a family man wanting to snatch one of these up, I say do it. This is a great family vehicle. It's got plenty of room inside. The kids even mentioned that the rear seats in this feel like a comfortable couch. Very comfortable, very roomy. You got plenty of room in the trunk. It's a massive trunk. We even went grocery shopping and didn't even make a dent in the trunk. And if there just happens to be an emergency with one of the kids, you're gonna be the fastest one to the hospital, and everybody's gonna thank you for having the Hellcat Redeye. Yeah, it's a family man's car. Easy. All right, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Hellcat Redeye, or the Hellcat, or the Challenger in general. And as always, thanks for watching. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. All right, let's see if we can turn around this sucker. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around this far into the video. Be sure to go check out these other videos that we've got in our playlist. And thanks for watching.